Good morning, you all. I wanted to make an introduction video to kind of a new way of doing things for me. I've been putting, my walks and my meals and my trips to Vietnam and Nicaragua and whatnot. But really, my passion and my guiding light, if you will, is spirituality and all the steps that involves. And I've heard from many people over the years different things, but so I thought I would talk about the things that have worked for me, what I've learned along the way, what other people have shared with me, and hopefully it finds those of you that helps or can be a stepping stone to something else. The way I look at things, there's nothing new under the world. It's just different ways of saying it that sometimes connect with one person and not with the other 500 that one talks to. So my hope is that whatever I share with you is helpful to you in some way or another. And probably a good place to start is a loaded word that a lot of people have a hard time with, which is meditation. I've done lots of things, and all of them I've struggled with, I've been successful at, I've been more or less successful, but the underlying pinning to all of them that have helped me to succeed in whatever I tried, if I put enough effort, of course, was the base that I had of faith, not religious faith, but faith that I knew would work out in some way or other. And I know not everybody has that. And that is something that is the underpinnings of everything else we do in our life. If we think we can, then we can. It might take work, it might take months or years or decades, but we can make something happen in our life if we choose to focus on that. And therein lies the rub. A lot of people have not had that experience of knowing that if they keep trying, eventually they will succeed. From what I've gathered and what I've seen, a lot of that comes down to our self-talk, how we communicate with ourselves. And that seems like a simple thing, which has nothing to do with meditation, and it has everything to do with meditation, all at the same time. So let me explain what I mean by that. We help ourselves along or sabotage ourselves by our self-talk. And that's been explained and talked about many times. The one thing that not everybody, but most people have told me is, well, I want to meditate, but I just can't. My mind keeps going in places and, keeps thinking and I can't focus and so forth and so on. And the reality is that happens to everybody and is not a judgment, that's just a reality. However, we can change our reality. Now, there's people out there, they go to satsang and, do quiet meditation for 10 days, sitting cross-legged in India, and to them, that's meditation. So if you don't do that, you're not really doing it right. Or other people that do Tai Chi, and if you're not doing that, then it's not doing it correctly. And all those things are all judgments about how we need to do something. Now, the way I see it is many roads lead to Rome, and they're all different, and they're all unique, and they're all the same at the same time, which I know sounds a little weird, but the reality is that you can do many different things. to get to the same place. When I was a realtor, I was a top agent in my company. So we got sent to, a special meeting in Seattle where all the groups of top realtors from all the different regions of the Northwest met. And we shared how we did what we did and what we did. And all the people there were the top producers in their individual companies. And there was about 40 of us. What was very interesting to me, though, was that every single person there, even though they were all successful, they all did it totally, totally different. Some worked just with people that bought slips for boats on marinas, on lakes. Other people just concentrated on condos. Other people concentrated for sale by owners, like I did. Other people in expired listings that hadn't sold. So there was many, many different ways to achieve the same thing. And that's in a very real sense. And meditation is the same way. One of the biggest detriments I see to people being successful in meditation is the judgment from others and from ourselves that, oh, I tried to meditate for 20 minutes because that's what they told me I had to do, and I couldn't do it. After 2 minutes, my mind was going all over the place, and I was thinking about what the grocery store had on special so I could make my budget stretch, and what I had to get for my kids for school. And those are normal. And the reality is that we can't program ourselves to succeed in anything by taking small steps. Now, I might offend some people by saying this, but I'm from Argentina, so we eat a lot of meat. And the old saying is, how do you eat a cow? One bite at a time comes to mind. And the reality is the meditation is the same way. I mean, it's not a cow, but it's a big, huge subject that opens up a lot of doors. And when you start, you want to just take one step. So I'm going to lay out some steps that some people might think of as meditation and some might not. But really, they're all part of the same soup, if you will. Cosmic soup, I call it. To start out, if you put your goal of, I'm going to do 30 minutes of quiet meditation whilst cross-legged, it's going to be very, very, very difficult. However, if you start with small steps, then it will be infinitely easier. And as you train yourself in those small steps, you are training your body to realize that it can succeed in little steps, and each time you will be able to go a little bit farther, a little bit deeper, a little bit quieter in your mind or your thought processes or whatever. It's just like if you want to run a marathon, you're not going to start out the first day by running 26 miles. You're going to start out by stretching and maybe doing 1 mile or half a mile, depending on what kind of shape you're in. So my suggestion for getting quiet within is just to look at your thoughts once every 4 hours, say, and say, whatever you're thinking, is this helping me become more calm by being positive? Or is this a self-judgment that I did something wrong, that I'm not doing it right, that I'm not a good person? And in observing that, if you're judging yourself or if you're feeling bad because somebody judged you and you don't like it, try to change that thought to a positive thought. So if somebody's judging you because you said something and they say, oh, that's stupid, how can you say that? Instead of internalizing that and saying, oh, they're right, I'm a stupid person, you can say, I wonder why they see it that way. And maybe I need to change that thought process that I had to one of, I'm learning my way, and each moment I become more aware of what I can change within myself. That's it. That's all you have to do. And then 4 hours later, you do the same thing. It takes 15 seconds, 30 seconds, And you keep doing that every 4 hours, while you're awake, for a couple of days. Each time you catch your thought being negative, you change it to a positive. Even if it's like, oh, I internalized that I was stupid for making a left turn instead of a right turn like I should have, you can say, oh, I realized I made a mistake and I'm correcting it and going around to get to the right side of where I need to go. It might seem basic, but when you're starting out, that's all you want to do, the basic. You don't want to shoot for the moon and try to do a marathon when you haven't even learned how to walk or run a mile. If you do that for 2 or 3 days and then shorten the time to, instead of every 4 hours, you do it every 3 hours. And then after a couple of days, every 2 hours. And then every hour. And then every half hour. Over time, as you keep telling yourself, I am growing by catching my thoughts when they're negative and changing them to something positive. You're mutating them. You're changing the vibrational and electromagnetic field that is your body. Now, some people believe in that and some don't, but it's immaterial. The fact of the matter remains that if you do that, you will slowly change how you look at things. And as you change how you look at things, what you focus on, what you see, will also change. A large part of meditation is learning what to focus on and what not to focus on. So I'm going to give you a scientific statistic that many studies have been done about this. And I always like to bring it up because it's very interesting. People think, well, the world is this way and that's going wrong and that's going wrong, and how can you ignore that? And you're not ignoring anything. You're just choosing where you focus your energy, where you focus how you see things. It's been scientifically proven that our body, ourselves, our psyche, can really only take in 10 to 20% of the stimuli out there. If we take more than that, we become overwhelmed, and then people flip out and become crazy because it's just too much information for us to process in a nice way without throwing a breaker in our head or our heart. So the question in my mind is not why is the world this way, but rather if you take the world as 100%, just to assign it a number, and you can only focus on 15 or 20% of it without going crazy, the question is not why is the world this way, but rather why am I choosing to see that slice of 15% or 20% of the world? Because the world encompasses everything. It encompasses idiots that are going to cross your path and going to trigger you. They're going to do their best to bring you down. And it also encompasses the people that will be lovely to you and say, you're a wonderful person and I hope you have a great day. And in the midst of all of that happening, the only choice that any of us have is how we perceive that, how we integrate that information out there into ourselves. So if you go every day and you try to integrate and change your negative perspective to a positive one, like I said, every 4 hours or every 3 hours or whatever, over time you will start to notice that as you look at the world, you see little things that happen that are very kind. And I talked about this here. The other day I went to make a photocopy to return something on Lazada, which is like Amazon here in Vietnam, where I'm at. And they only had Zulu or Zalo or something, which is like a Russian app that I don't have. And the guy there, I don't know, university student, he was like, oh, well, if you send it to me, I can send it to them. I have that and also what's up. Like, oh, okay, cool. And he spoke English. He was a university student. There's a university across from where I live. So I did that. He was very kind, very helpful, and it made my day. Now, I could have been upset about the fact that I couldn't send it because I don't have Zalo, and I tried it and I could never figure it out because it's in Russian for the most part, or Vietnamese. But the universe provided in a way that not only did I get my paper and I was able to return my thing, but it gave me a very positive, life-affirming experience that had a certain energy throughout the whole day for me. And as we focus more and more on the little things that are positive, then those become magnified in our view. And the negative things, they don't go away. I'm not suggesting that you ignore everything, but they become less relevant to your life, to your experience of the world. And that's where all our power is. And that's the only choice that any of us have, which is to affect a choice that mirrors what we want to have in our lives. If we want to mirror the fact that things are difficult, we can certainly do that. There's enough news and information out there, whether fake or real, that will buttress that. And that's the dark rabbit hole that we can go down and become more and more despondent about the fact that the world is going to hell in a handbasket if we choose to do that. On the other hand, if we choose to look at it and say, wow, I saw something really neat, and that creates a certain feeling in our heart and in our soul, and we compound that over time, it becomes stronger and stronger. Now, these are simple little things that sometimes are hard to do. So we have to be conscious, and that's why I say, check in yourself every 4 hours for 20 seconds. Then do it every 3 hours, and 2, whatever you need. If you can do it every hour, by all means do it every hour for 3 minutes if you want. If you can only do it for 15 seconds, do that. But allow yourself to succeed by setting the smallest goal that you need to set to be able to do. And if you do that, over time, you will find that they grow. Meditation is like a wide plain with water that just flows everywhere. As the water finds the little places where it can run as a little creek or a river, eventually it can become the Grand Canyon, and it becomes much more focused and much more contained, and it becomes much easier to get into that mood, into that space within yourself. But at the beginning, when your thoughts are spread out everywhere and you can't control how you think for longer than 1 second or 4 seconds or whatever, to think that you're going to sit down and be like the Grand Canyon and encase all of the Colorado River in between its two walls of thinking correctly, it's impractical and counterproductive, because it's going to be too much and you're going to be overwhelmed and you quit and say, oh, meditation didn't work for me, which is what most people do. It's like if I wanted to become Arnold Schwarzenegger and have a great body, I would not expect to go to the gym one day and the next have his body. I would have to work at it for years on end. And that's why I don't go to the gym, because I don't want to work for a year. Right? But my point is that if you start small, you will have the seed of great things within you coming forth. And nobody can take that step for you. All you can do is prep the work, the ground, so that when you take the first step, it's small enough that you'll succeed. And that is all that you need to do. As you do that and you keep doing that, it becomes a habit, becomes a routine, and then it becomes natural to think that way and to be that way. So that's enough talking, I think, for the first day. I will be doing a series of all this kind of stuff. So if you like this, write in the comments if this helps in any way, if it's something that you want to hear more about. This is the stuff that drives my life in everything. And that's why I want to share it with you guys. So if you like it and subscribe. It'll be in my YouTube channel and also in Facebook with a link to my YouTube channel. I hope it helps you guys in some way or other. I know it has helped me a lot. And have a great day.